Falling! Okay, so walk me through your process here. What are you doing here? What's your first thing? You're hanging backwards off of this?
The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my harness prusik through my chest harness, thereby keeping me in an upright position. Next thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get those foot prusiks down onto my feet. It's got to go over my boot and over my crampon, so it's a little bit of work. Plus I'm leaning back. Plus I've got this pack on with some weight and it's swinging me backwards. Now it's a simple matter of starting to prusik and, in fact, yo-yo my way up this thing. At any rate, you can see that the prusiks get loaded, they grip the rope and allow me to stand up. Then I can move my harness prusik up a little bit further. I lean back, put all my weight in that. The closer you can get your knees and stuff towards your gut, the easier it'll be to step up. And I just lean back into it again. Simple matter of feet harness, feet harness. I'm looking at my ice axe, which is why it's always clipped in, because it's fine to dangle below me. Now what I want to do is I want to take the weight of this pack off my back. So I use my carabiner, which is girth hitched with a runner to the hull loop on my bag. I slip it under my legs and clip it on the bight of climbing rope that is developed between my legs. You can see it there just between my legs. Now I've got the pack off my back.
And just a quick order of operations here. We first make sure that we've unclipped it from our harness and then clipped it into the bight before we do anything with the pack.
Right.
You know, you need to make sure that is secure, because that's got all of your essentials. You know, that's your survival on the upper mountain there. So you need to make sure that you've got that secured.
There was that incident with Olaf when the year I was there. I hear this wham, and I look over and I see his pack going boom, boom, boom down to the bottom of the crevasse. And they go, "What happened?" He goes, "I think I missed."
Now you can see the physics here by getting that off of your back and onto that bight. For every foot that you go up, the pack only rises 6 inches, which means you only have to lift half of the weight.
It's the equivalent of lifting half the weight. That's exactly right.
Then when you get to the top, then you can worry about getting the rest of your stuff out of there.
Right. It's not the main concern. It's a concern, it's just not the main concern.
So this whole time you need to be in good communication with the rest of your rope team that are holding you. You got to make sure, before you start bouncing around on there, if you've hopefully been able to establish some form of verbal communication with them, let them know that they've got some sort of an anchor in there and that they're ready for you to start moving around. And maybe they talked about doing a Z-pulley and you said, "No, I think I can prusik out here." So you want to go ahead and self-rescue, but you want to make sure you're communicating with them as best you can. That can be difficult, though, when when there's a lot of wind and crevasses involved.
Right.
So again, that's ideal world practice situations.
Snow just eats up the sound.
Yeah. And so now basically we're going to be demonstrating coming down here pretty soon. So he's pressing now up into my rafters. Yes. Welcome to my barn. So
down.
Every once in a while, you might have run into a situation where maybe you pressed it all the way up to the top, but because they didn't have that lip protected, the rope has gone in. You have to prusik down just a little bit so you can work with them to chip out a little bit more of a V once they've protected the lip for you to get through a little bit of an overhang there. So you might have to be able to go down a little bit, and pretty soon we're going to see him coming down, and we're going to see the operation of how that works. It's the same thing in reverse.
Coming down is actually just a little bit trickier than going up, because when I'm down climbing, when I'm prusiking down, I want to drop those. My intuition is to drop the prusiks as far as possible, but I can't drop it so far that I can't stand up, and I definitely can't drop the top one far enough that it starts to bind up with the other one, because then neither one of them will move, and I'm going to have to prusik back up anyways.
And it's worth mentioning that you might have freezing cold hands, gloves on, things might be wet, there might be moisture raining down off of you, off of the lip of the crevasse, and it's very difficult for you to operate these things, but the best job that you can do to maintain the proper dressing of that prusik knot, it will definitely aid your, both its ability to grip on there and your ability to move it around easily. because once it starts balling up, it'll get different. It gets more difficult to unbind after it's been loaded.
Absolutely. If the knot starts to look funny at all, take just a second to dress it, to clean it up, to get it to lay properly so that it functions properly. It'll be less likely to lock up on you, and just easier, that much easier to get both up and down.
One thing to keep in mind when you're coming down is to make sure that you keep a good, I'd say 2 inches between your harness prusik and the foot prusik, so that when you load your harness prusik, it doesn't settle down onto your foot prusik in a way in which you're not able to get it off here.
Roger that.
So to sum up, so this is prusiking up and down a rope. One thing to keep in mind is that you are, in here we demonstrated being tied into the end. If you were tied into the middle, the only thing that's different here is that before you started prusiking up, you would have had to switch either the foot or the chest harness to the uphill rope. So you're always going to, if you're tied into a middle position, you're always going to have to move at least one of those. That's the only difference there from a middle perspective. Again, it's all the same thing. You're making sure that you're not dropping anything critical, that you're securing all your stuff, and you're not going to lose it down the crevasse. Because when you go up to the
lip,
the lip of the crevasse, it's going to be very easy for you to lose anything that's not secured very easily, because breaking through that lip can actually be a lot more trying than you might be envisioning right now. Yeah. Because the rope, no matter what you do to protect it, has a habit of trying to work its way in there, and sometimes you have a good cornice to work your way through. So thank you very much for listening. Once again, this is Bryce Milton and Alexei Evans.
Keep climbing mountains and don't slip.